Welcome to another episode of the Power Connector podcast. I'm Derek Dickow, your host, and interviewing people that I think are interesting, people that have achieved a certain level of respect and success in business, and people that I like to have what I call a curiosity conversation about how they've achieved their success, the relationships that they've built along the way, and how you, the listener, can benefit from learning from our experts and their expertise. With me today is Dave Johnson. Dave is the founder, president, CEO of Mercury Sound Lighting. Dave, you got an interesting story. I know we sat down. We've only known each other, I think, formally for about a year. But I think that what you do is interesting, and you built this business on your own, and you started from the ground up. So I'd love to start this conversation, as I do every conversation, is ask people what's new and exciting in their business.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me. By the way, I don't know how you do that so well without a teleprompter.
Thank you.
Like literally 9 out of 10 people are going to need a teleprompter, and they can't just flow on the spot like that.
Well, a lot of practice.
In fact, it's a very good idea to keep people on a teleprompter because you don't know what they're going to end up saying or where they're going to veer off to.
I don't have my glasses with me today, so I couldn't use a teleprompter if I wanted.
Also, we've done a lot of political events over the years. I don't know if you and I have talked about this.
Yes, yeah. We've talked about it.
Okay, so 2016, 2020, we did like just about every Trump rally in the Midwest. And
you're talking thousands, tens of thousands of people.
Like any rally you would have gone to in Michigan, you would have seen us doing it. But the funny thing is, like any political candidate, anytime we did anything presidential, it's always on script, like with teleprompters. But this guy, he's like you, like he
100% no script.
He can't even follow it. I mean, they try, and then they just kind of go crazy because he can't stay on it.
And I think that's why he's not in office today. He couldn't stick to the script, right?
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? He is who he is.
He is who he is, and that's why people look up to him, and he's achieved certain levels of success in his career.
Yeah.
But let's get back to the whole what's new and exciting for you, because I think that that's an important part of how I open up my conversations.
For sure.
Letting people share something that's important to them.
So things are going really well for us. I mean, COVID was like a huge thing because half of our business does live events. In 2020, there wasn't nearly as many political rallies as what we would have done at 16. Same with corporate events, so we had to transition. And I think finally now we're on the other end of it where we're really seeing things spike for us. And now the biggest thing is inflation, dealing with those kinds of issues, and also supply chain. The other half of our company sells and installs equipment, and we just can't get the equipment here fast enough to install, according to what the demand is. So that's been a little bit tough.
So when you say events, paint a picture for us. Is it, an event is as little as how many people, and how sophisticated, how elaborate are some of these productions that you guys are involved in?
It's kind of a funny question, because if you ask my guys this question, they would like to transition into doing just one segment of it, but we do quite a bit. I mean, we have people that will call us just for a small sound system in a backyard. And we'll still kind of cater to that. Pricing structure has changed over the years to accommodate just because of overhead. But then we get all the way up to, doing events for tens of thousands of people, anywhere from corporate events to houses of worship, to concerts, to political events. We kind of hit a wide gamut of events that we do. We even still dabble a little bit in social events. We don't do a whole lot of them, just because we're scaled bigger than, dealing with some of those smaller events, but we certainly try, and we have clients that we take care of no matter what it is.
How did you get your start in this space? I mean, did you grow up being interested in events and thinking, oh, that's a cool concert? How did they put this whole thing together? I mean, give me an example.
By the way, have you and I ever talked about this?
No, I don't know that we have.
So I can give you the long story or the short story. Which one do you want?
I'd love to learn. Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, that's part of my deal.
So, I grew up in a really large church, non-denominational, 5,000-10,000 people. The auditorium sat probably 4,000 people. And I also went to a school that was owned by the church. Started there in kindergarten. I graduated high school there.
Okay.
And when I was in, 6th, 7th grade, the school had a student-led worship team. Think more contemporary, full band, singers. And I really wanted to be on that worship team. I was really interested. I loved music, things like that. And I, in 8th grade, the team they're all high schoolers, they needed an audio guy. And I thought, you know what, this is perfect. This is like my way in. I'll run audio for them now because they'll let me do it. I'm in 8th grade. But, once I am in high school, I'll be able to go ahead and I'm already part of the team. it turns out I was really good at doing the audio. So I did that. I started doing it quite a bit at the church. And then I became a worship leader at the school in my sophomore year, did student-led worship for the rest of my high school career, was doing audio quite a bit between there and the church, volunteering, doing weddings and, services multiple times a week. And I decided I need to purchase some gear and start a business. So between my junior and senior year, I turned 18. I started a company. I borrowed $7,000 from my dad.
Real money. When you're in high school.
And my mom was not happy about it. Like, if I went specifically to my dad, and my mom was not happy. Why are you giving this kid $7,000? And then he co-signed a Guitar Center credit card, 0% for another $3,000. So I had 10 grand to buy some equipment. I knew what I was doing, and I'm like, I can rent this stuff out, but I had no idea what I would charge. I thought, you know what? I could get $400-$500 max, and that's good money for me. I'm 18 years old,
sure.
Right? 2 weeks after I bought my first rig, I got a call from another church. They said, Dave, one of our musicians has worked with you before at another church, and we heard you're good. You just started a company. We want you to do this special service for us. We're renting out an auditorium. And I said, okay, no problem. But being the entrepreneur-minded person that I am, I didn't give them a price. I knew they had done it once before. And I said, how much did you pay last time? And they said, last time we did it, we paid $1,400. I said, okay, I'll do it for $1,000. So I did it for $1,000. They called me the next week and they said, we'd like to do this every week for the next year. So I'm an 18-year-old kid with a $10,000 rig, and I'm now bringing in $1,000 a week, and I live at home. No overhead.
The American dream.
I borrowed a trailer. I borrowed a trailer from a mentor of mine. I borrowed a SUV from my dad, and that's how I started my business. And I didn't need any of that extra cash, so I reinvested that $1,000 every week into paying a couple guys to help me, and then back into equipment to keep buying stuff.
So from 8th grade and interest into being involved in this production, volunteering, which it sounds like probably a lot of moving boxes, picking things up, showing up on time, right? Doing all the things right. And then they gave you an opportunity to move on to the next level.
Yeah. And it was kind of a blessing too, because, and looking back, I feel like because I sowed so much time into the ministry that, God had his hand on me, and I feel like he still does, to make sure that I am on the right path. And I always knew that business was kind of my thing. This was just like a skill that I had, I ended up going to college to University of Michigan, when I was done. I went to Dearborn, specifically so I could continue to run my business. I didn't want to live on campus. That 1-year contract turned into multiple years, so I was still doing that through college. And I thought, when I get done with school, I'm going to get a corporate job, kind of work my way up. I'm very business-minded. And that was my full intent. I graduated college. I got a job at Quicken Loans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. By the way, best training anybody could get was, doing that program. In fact, I did it before I even bought a house. By the time I bought a house, I was fully, I knew mortgages. I knew what I was doing. And great skill and asset. The problem is I was working, 40 hours a week there. And then I was going and doing Mercury another, 40 or 50 hours, depending on the week. Totally killed it over there. And they tried everything they could to keep me. But I made a decision after, 3 months and doing that, my business was really blowing up. And I see how much time I'm investing, selling mortgages to build somebody else's business. I realized I should be spending that same time and that same effort to build my business. And so when I stepped down from that position after a few months, that's kind of when I focused on Mercury and said to myself, you know what, this is not just a hustle anymore. I'm going to make this a real thing and invest in it, invest my time. And that was 2006. And since then, it's just been up. We've done 30% growth every single year up until COVID. And that's kind of where we're at now. We're 22 years later.
Amazing story. So while you were making that transition, did you have any special mentors or people that you would go to for advice to ask them what their opinion was? Or, I mean, it's a pretty, sometimes it can be on an island, right? When you go into business for yourself. And so did you cultivate relationships with people that were more successful than you? How did you go about arriving at that decision?
By the way, I'm glad you said that. because I feel like that island statement is something that we all go through, but we don't realize that everyone else in our position is going through the same thing, you know? And I think we lack areas for mentorship. Even now, you know, I look at what I've grown and I look back and I say to myself, how in the world did I do that? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But when I was doing it, I never thought to myself, I can't do it. I did have a few mentors that kind of helped me along the way. I had a teacher slash pastor in high school that kind of pushed me to do the business.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had contracted with me for a number of years, helping me do installations and things like that. But I think that's kind of become a big purpose for me, is I want to be able to help mentor and find people that have that same, you know, entrepreneurial spirit and help them, because like you said, we all feel like we're on an island so often, and it's hard to reach out and find help when you feel like you're by yourself. It's a tough thing.
No doubt about it. It can feel like you're the only person that knows what those decisions look like, and it deals with those challenges. How do you cultivate relationships with mentors specifically? Like, did you just take a look at who's successful around you? Do you pick up the phone, or give me some ideas on how you cultivate relationships with mentors?
I mean, I've been very fortunate because as I've grown my relationships as well, the people around me. And it's important to have people around you that are like-minded. You know, it becomes difficult to hang out with people that don't think like you, you know, because when you start telling them stories and things that you're going through, issues that you're having, they're kind of blown away. Like they don't know how to really understand that. So just having a close circle of people that are like-minded, that are also entrepreneurs, is very important. And I've sought people out. In fact, there's one gentleman, that was the CEO of a competitor of mine. Much larger company than us, has been around for a long time. I mean, I'm talking like pretty good size. And I just was following him on LinkedIn, and I liked the attention that he got on LinkedIn and the way he would post things and his energy. And I thought, man, I want to get to know this guy, but I didn't do anything. You know, I always wait. Like sometimes I'm a little, you know, bashful in my approach, even though that's not really my personality. I'm a go get it kind of guy. But sometimes you get intimidated, especially when it's a competitor. I noticed this gentleman was no longer CEO of the company. You know, something posted or changed. And so I said, you know what? What have I got to lose? I'm going to reach out. So I just reached out to him on LinkedIn, and he reached out back. He really liked my story and how young I was and how much we've accomplished as a company in such a, you know, small amount of time. And he came to my office, we met, and we started having lunch. Then it turned into a once a month thing. And then it turned into more of a mentorship thing. And then even like a business development thing, kind of bringing him on contract and helping. And you know, that's the biggest thing, is sometimes you feel intimidated as an entrepreneur because you're on that island and you need help and you want somebody to mentor you. You kind of have to go out and grab it. Like you have to say, you know what? I'm going to go find it and I'm going to pull it in to make it happen. So I'm not on that island by myself. And I think that's why a lot of people fail, to tell you the truth.
Do you feel like when you reach out to people like that are successful in certain areas of their life, or maybe this contact, your former competition, almost feel like they're waiting for your call?
Isn't that funny?
How does that?
Isn't that funny?
Is that how you feel sometimes? Because I feel that way too. I feel like, oh, this person was waiting for me to call them.
But on the flip side, what are you feeling?
Yeah.
You're feeling like, man, they're not going to want to talk to me.
Maybe some hesitation.
Who am I?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
They're busy. They have this. They have that. But the reality is, they are waiting. They're just as hungry to help you as you are for them to help you.
It's an interesting concept that people are there for you but they just want to know that they're not wasting their time, right? And so you have to call them. They can almost sense the interest, and if it's a genuine interest, they're willing to be supportive, and you found that to be the case.
And I'm starting to understand that more because that's how I am. You know, I realize what we've done, what I've gone through, what I've accomplished, and I want to share that. Like if I saw a 20-year-old that had the hustle that I had, I'd want to invest in them. Like I would want to tell him, you know, give my opinion, give my advice, be there to talk to when you feel like you're on that island, you know. But when I was 20, I didn't feel like there was somebody like me out there.
It can be intimidating too.
Yeah, it's intimidating.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, maybe we're onto something, Derek. Maybe we should start something. I mean, now like you haven't already.
No, we started a few groups,
you know,
that's for sure.
But, you know, to help people. And you know what? I will say this too. I mean, you and I are both involved in a greater community, right? Where there's a lot of entrepreneurs. and a lot of history too, because they have family. They've been brought up around it. I wasn't brought up around that. You know what I mean? I've adapted pretty well because I have that same spirit. But growing up, I had blue collar parents. You know, my dad did try to start businesses when I was young, before I was born, but he worked for a steel plant, you know, as his main income. My mom was a nurse for 45 years. You know, so for people like that who aren't around it but have the itch, it's a little bit more difficult, to be honest with you. You know, it's not easy to just get out there and start a business. It's a lot easier when you've been around it and you've seen it. You've seen people fail, but you've seen them succeed too. You know, but to not be around it, it's a whole different animal.
Did you have some experience coming up in somewhere between 8th grade and junior year where you're like, you know what, I want to be in business for myself? I saw that person do it.
Yeah. So this is funny. My dad was in a network marketing company since I was born, you know, and things never really stuck for him, but the guy never gave up. Like, I give him credit, like, and he would constantly be reading books and listening to tapes.
Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, like
one of the greatest books of all time.
Like, my dad's the type of guy, when Rich Dad Poor Dad came out, you know, like paperback copies, and my parents are good, but they're not like well off by any means. They're hardworking people. And this guy went out and bought like 50 copies of the book. And if he would have met you, he would have talked to you about business. And then he would have handed you this book and said, you know what, you need to read this book.
Yeah, I love that gesture.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I grew up. So if I had to accredit my sense of business or my desire for it, it came from him, even though he did things differently. You know, it was more of a network marketing thing and not an actual business with all these expenses and costs and overhead and managing people. You know, that's a whole different side. But I definitely got the itch from that, and hearing all these motivational tapes and people that are telling you can do it.
You can do it.
And if it's going to be, then it's up to me.
Who are some of the tapes or some of the speakers that you remember listening to?
If Amway was the company that my dad was in.
Sure, of course. This is
so
Michigan.
They were all Amway leaders. You know, the DeVosses, the Van Andels, you know, Dexter Yeager,
Zig Ziglar.
Ron and Donnie Ball, Zig Ziglar, like all these guys. You know, and what a wealth of information. And by the way, if you can succeed doing network marketing, like, you deserve everything that you got for it, because that is a tough gig.
I understand it well. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people, most people fail in that business, but the people that can stick it out, depending on what the product is, what the services are, but a lot of people have achieved uncommon success for sure.
But the nice thing is you don't have the overhead. And it's a great example.
Yeah.
It's a great example of mentorship.
That's exactly right. You can't succeed unless your team succeeds. And this is transferable in any business. And so you were able to learn a little bit about that mentality. Talk about how you pour into your team today and why corporate culture is important to you.
Yeah. So, I mean, my team is the company. Who am I? You know, I kind of joke every now and then with my guys that if I had to go do a show, I don't know if I would know how to do it. You know what I mean? Because it's been so long since I've done it. Like, I need them just as much as they need me. And a lot of people ask me, you know, what's your day-to-day like? What do you do in the business? And, you know, I tell them my biggest job is culture.
Yeah.
Even my guys, if you ask my guys, what's Dave's biggest job? It's culture. I'm worried every day about making sure that our core values are being lived, that I'm hiring people that have those core values, that we're firing people that don't have those core values, and that I'm keeping the mentality and mindset of the team, you know, like-minded. So that's very important to me. And even when we interview, you know, we have a conference room, it kind of lists our 5 values on the wall. And when I interview, I point them out. And sometimes it's like, hoorah, you know what I mean? Like, companies have these things, it's just like, this is what we're supposed to do. But for us, it's not. And I try to make that very clear. These are exactly who we are. And we spend a lot of time and effort into coming up with 5 words that describe us and that we live by.
Give us some of the 5 words that you live by.
So one of them, and the funny thing is, when we did this, what we thought about is people that we really admire and what are all of their values. And then we kind of crossed them off until we found the ones that are us. So they're me to the core. You know, you have to have confidence. You have to have professionalism. This is a fun one that everybody argued with me on, but we kept, was compassion, because I'm a very compassionate person. I'm not very cutthroat. I really care a lot about people. I care about our team. I care about our team's families. You know, so those are kind of the main ones that we live by. And passion is another one, because if you're not passionate about what we do for a living, you're not going to last. Like, it is a hard gig. Like I have guys that will put in 120 hours in a week.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And they grind it out. And I'll see them in the morning, after that, and they just look tired. But you know what? They did it because they're passionate about what we do, because there's nothing like putting all that time into a huge event. And then you get to sit back and watch it go off without any hitches, and the lighting's hitting and the music's hitting, and the client's happy and proud of what you did. You don't get that feeling in a lot of other things. There's a lot of businesses you could do, but you're not going to get that sense of satisfaction and gratification when it's done. It's kind of a daily grind. So these guys have a lot of passion for what they do, and they have passion for me and for the company and what we're building. I couldn't ask for a better team.
So confidence, professionalism, compassion. What was the
passion?
Passion. Sorry. And then what was the fifth one?
The last one is the most important one.
Okay.
Integrity.
Integrity. Yes.
And by the way, I never realized how many people don't hold integrity close to them.
Give me an example.
It's amazing. Like just in business, it's especially bad now, post COVID. You call a company to come and do something, and they'll tell you they're going to be there. They don't show up, or they give you a price, and then they come out and do something, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, it's going to be this much more," or whatever it is, or they'll talk bad about a competitor in order to get your business, or there's all types of ways that people aren't integral to what they're doing, and I think that's a big reason why we've been so successful, because I have integrity in almost every aspect of my life. Whatever we do, we're going to do with integrity.
Yeah, it's frustrating when people don't honor their commitments or change terms up on you, and that happens a lot in business. And people are like, well, who came up with this idea? But
I've had it happen with a vendor. We carry a vendor that we're a dealer for. We're a dealer for hundreds of brands of audiovisual equipment, and I understand things have changed. Supply chain has been a huge issue, but we had a price increase that they gave us. This was sometime last year. It was like March, and they said, June 1st, if your POs haven't shipped out, they're all subject to the price increase. It's like, dude, we've had orders with you guys for a year. They're already sold. We've collected deposits on them. We're not going back.
You can't go back to your client.
I'm not.
Yeah, right.
I'm not doing it.
So they expect you to eat it.
I'm going to eat that.
Right.
You know why? Because we have integrity with everything we do. But, little things like that bothers me. You should eat it. That's what you should do. That's the right thing to do.
What do you find in today's environment to be the greatest challenge with developing relationships with clients?
Getting to them. We deal with a lot of C-level people. We do a lot of corporate stuff. Sometimes it's getting to the right person. And then once you get to the right person, being heard. A lot of times for us, you have to wait till somebody does a bad job, and then they're looking. And then when they're looking, you have to be in the right place. So I try to spend more of my time. It's funny because we have a full sales staff, but I still bring in a lot of leads because I'm genuine. I'm out doing business development, but my business development happens in my inner circle. It's funny. I was actually driving here today, and I was thinking about what we might talk about. And then I was just thinking about business in general. And one of the things that came to mind was that my best customers are also my close friends.
So you want to take your customers and turn them into your friends and turn them into customers.
Yep. And I don't do that intentionally. I don't think to myself, you know what? I'm going to make you my friend, so you'll be my customer. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, because I care so much about what they're doing, they become my friend.
Yeah. I get
and
that.
Once they're my friend, they're not going to go anywhere else because they care about me as much as I care about them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're cultivating a relationship with them, thinking long-term, right? Thinking 10, 20-year perspectives with people.
And by the way, it's not just the value of you being my client now. Now it's the value of being my friend.
Which is priceless, right? Because if you need somebody at the right time in the right moment, you pick up the phone, you want to be able to have access.
I'll give you an example.
Please.
John Merritt.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen me with John?
Often, yeah. You guys are very tight.
Yeah. So funny story, John and I actually went to kindergarten together at the same Christian school that I told you about.
Sure.
And then
we should say Pastor John
Merritt. Yes.
Say it the right way.
Yeah. And then I didn't see Pastor Jonathan for quite a while. Okay. And I got connected to the church that he's at because they were doing some renovations. And we ended up doing some work for them, a significant amount of work. And John and I hit it off. and he was marrying Tatiana at the time, and we had a lot of similarities, a lot of things in commons. And now this guy's one of my closest friends, but he's also one of my best clients at the same time.
So
and you probably never would have known that if I didn't tell you.
I didn't know that. But you serviced him.
I've got big projects that we.
I just thought you guys were very close and friendly, and families obviously close together. So as you went from kindergarten to full circle here in business, not only are you friends with each other, but you also work for him and provide expert level of professionalism to him. That's that's the beauty of what we do, is we can work with people that we want to and we choose to, and then just over deliver on value, and now they become part of the circle for life. And that's kind of the whole idea about networking and relationship building. What have you found to be for you the biggest value adds when you work with people?
In what way?
Well, value adds is, so you provide service to them. You're working as a vendor, but you're also building relationships with them. So sometimes they might come to you for intel. They might come to you for information. It's not always just a friendly discount that you offer, right? For sure. So what are some of the value adds that you
honestly, I would say the biggest value that we offer is which is funny because it all ties in together. It's relationship. They come to us because they can trust us. They know they're going to get a quality product, quality service. They know they're going to get integrity all along the way. And you know what? If there's any issues or anything additionally needed, all you have to do is talk to us. You know what I mean? And we're going to work it out. You know why? Because we have that relationship. In fact, I don't personally work well with clients that are cutthroat and don't want to have that relationship. You know how you have some clients that are like, they want to keep it here.
Yeah, sure.
I don't work well with those. I just don't. Like we'll try to service them, but I can do so much more for you if the guard is down and we just connect. I think you and I have done a good job of that.
I don't remember when we met. I think it was maybe a year and a half ago, but I know that we broke bread. That was like the first thing that we did, which is for me an important step in cultivating any kind of friendship or relationship is let's break bread. Let's get to know each other. I don't remember talking much business with you at breakfast. It was just kind of getting to know each other. Yeah. And I found that to be helpful in my development with people. Just, get to know them over over a meal, over some eggs and some coffee, which is what we did.
Yeah. And then you want to help people.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like you, in some ways you're a customer, other ways you're a friend, but I want to help you. I want to see you succeed. I want to see your events on another level. I want people to come to an event that you do and just be like, wow, this was great on all senses, not just the knowledge that they're hearing, but what they're seeing and feeling and experiencing.
Experiential, yes. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it was incredible, eye-opening to work with your team last year. We really appreciated it, and it was unique, and we got some great feedback in our surveys of your work. So I know you and your staff hold those in high regard as you move on to the next client and to the next year as you build and develop and grow, which is what we intend to do. Yeah. As you and I develop our friendship even further. Talk to me a little bit about philanthropy and why supporting the community is important to you and your family.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm going to be honest with you. COVID was a very hard time for us because so much business tanked. I remember being on vacation and getting phone calls in the airport on a single day and having millions of dollars of shows just cancel, one after the other. Just kept getting calls, text messages, and it was kind of a sick feeling because at that point it had been 19 years in business, increasing revenue every single year. And then to have this feeling inside of what's next, what are you going to do? It's not like I'm in a business that we could, all hide in the basement and work and continue to do. I mean, we tried and we did the best we can, but at the beginning it was kind of nerve-wracking. And I'm also responsible for families. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of staff and I care about them deeply. They're not just employees. I have the hardest time with that. I have a hard time cutting off those emotions. And I think that's an asset to me in some ways. But every single time that we needed something, God always showed up right on time with what we needed. And I'm very rooted in my faith and what I believe, and not everybody is, and that's okay. Not everybody that works for me is, but I'm always very firm to them that the reason we are where we are, the reason that things happen for us the way they happen is because of my faith. And it goes all the way back to my parents and everything that they sowed. they were always giving to projects and churches and philanthropy things and community, not only with money, but with their time. And I sowed a lot of time when I was younger. I was a worship leader for 15 years. I don't know if we ever talked about that. Not a paid position, just sacrificing, multiple evenings during the week. My Sundays, I would do shows all day Saturday, be up till 4 o'clock in the morning and then up at 6 and doing that. And I feel like not only do we need to give back and be good for other people to help them, but it's a reason why God continues to bless us too. He sees that and keeps his hand on you for those reasons.
Yeah, no, that's a big part of who you are, and you wear it on your sleeve, and it comes across. I think that came across in our first conversation, that you're godly and that your faith is rooted at the center of your existence. And I appreciate the way that you hold that in high regard. It's a great example for me, for others, and I'm sure you get that all the time. Somewhere in this conversation is maybe somebody in 8th grade who's considering volunteering for some big project that they want to get involved in. Or maybe they're a junior in high school, ready to ask their father or a family friend for a loan to get in on their first business, whatever that opportunity might be for them. What kind of advice do you have for them, knowing what you know now?
Honestly, the biggest advice I can give is to hustle. Hustle. Even if you're not making any money, let somebody, get in a habit of hustle, of being busy and putting in your time. And when you do it, to do it with excellence. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, do it. I can think of so many things. Like I said, growing up, I was doing audio at church, volunteering. I'm not getting paid. I had to be at a certain place at a certain time, and I had a lot of responsibility to take care of, all because I'm just volunteering. But if you can take that and learn to be responsible with your time and with your commitments, and you're investing all of that, everything else will follow. I think that's something that we lack a lot these days, is people that take on responsibility and then follow through. Follow through is everything. I'm going to be honest. When I was younger, even my first event that I ever did, I had never done it before, and I could have bombed it. Like, it could have been very bad, but I had confidence in what I was doing and I followed through. And even now, my company has grown a lot over the years. There's probably been times where we took something on that we weren't qualified to do, but I have followed through. It doesn't matter what it's going to take. I'm going to make it go. It's going to happen. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest advice I can give, is just to follow through. Even if you lose, even if you don't sleep for days or whatever it takes, if you commit to something, follow through and see it happen no matter what.
Well, it's great advice, and it's definitely been true in the success in your journey over the years. I admire the way that you built your practice. You went all in at a young age, and you just over-deliver on value. And I like how you bring confidence to what you do. Again, we don't always know how to do things, but if you work towards a goal, and
you know what? We don't always know how to do things.
Yeah.
But somebody else knows something.
Sure.
Right? Like, nobody knows everything. But if you can find the right people who know, that's going to make you even greater. And I've been very good at that. If I don't know how to do something, fine. I'm going to find somebody else who knows it better. And in fact, my team now, they're all better at their different areas than I am. I can't do anything that they do better. So I focus on what I do best. And that's building relationships, building the culture, and growing. But you're exactly right.
It takes time to do that, right? You said at the beginning you had to wear all these hats in order to get where you're at today. And for a lot of people, I don't know if they would make that commitment going into it, thinking that they'd have to accomplish and do all these things over the years in order to become successful. But you did it, and you went all in at a young age. You believed in yourself, and then you also work hard, and then you surrounded yourself with the right kind of people to help you accomplish all of this work. About. In your practice today, give me a number. How many people, how many states do you service?
Yeah, so we service nationwide. We have just about 30 employees full-time, but then we have about another 150 freelancers that we use depending on how busy we are. So we can expand to having 180 people working and then shrink down to only having 30 people working, depending on, what's going on. And it's a ebb and flow. We're very busy, in the spring and in the fall. Wintertime is, pretty slow for us. There's not as many events going on. So we've really tried to build our market down in Florida as well. We're working down in Orlando. We're doing quite a few shows coming up there, and we're trying to grow that so that way we can be down there more when it's slow here.
And enjoy some family time,
Exactly.
hopefully, right? That's part of it. Give us an idea for the future and as it relates to hybrids. Are you still doing a ton of virtual events where there's a live in-person component, or vice versa? Where do you see the future of events?
Yeah, so even before COVID, we were doing this. We were doing hybrid events where we would stream it and have attendance online and things like that. COVID kind of really fast-forwarded that. There were a lot of companies that weren't doing both. We always were, and we're seeing a lot that are streaming as well. The other big thing for us is, coming on the other side of it, now that we can, stream and people don't have to be in person. The thing that we focus on is being much more creative and creating experiences. You can't experience the same thing sitting in your living room or in your office watching on a computer screen as you can being in a space. And so for us, we're constantly thinking of ways that we can make things even more creative and experiential to drive people to want to be at these events, or even drive the client to want to put on the event. Like, listen, we want to make this something much, much more than what it used to be. And the same thing goes for work from home. Let's face it, people need to be around people.
Absolutely.
If you're not, it's going to be a detriment to you and to the people that you deal with when you have to deal with them. And so for us, we've kind of taken the mindset of, okay, more people are going to work from home, maybe not be all together at once, but they are going to need to come together. And when they do, let's make it more impactful.
So I can attest 100% to the experiential part of what you do in elevating that sense for people, because they take time away from their family. They take time away from work, from their passions, golf, whatever they're interested in, to attend that event or that business or that social gathering, which could be 12 people, it could be 100,000, right? All depending on what the client's looking for. And it sounds like your goal is committed to having those people have just an exceptional experience, which makes everybody there happy. It makes them enjoyable and gets them an opportunity to gather.
And you know what? When you do that, people begin to loosen up. They're not as stiff. They're not as dry. They're not as to themselves. When you create an environment that relaxes them, that engages them, now you're opening up a lot more opportunity to engage. And when I say engage, I mean, even think about what you do and what your main premise is, networking and connecting people. If you come in and people are stuffy and the atmosphere is kind of dry and there's nothing going on and nobody's talking, it really makes it difficult for you to be impactful.
Absolutely, yeah.
But if you can take that guard down and people are enjoying themselves and now they've loosened up, it's kind of like, joining a country club or the DAC downtown. Those are the best times you can build relationships because you're meeting people at their personal level. You're not meeting them in a boardroom or trying to knock down their door or, in any of those scenarios. You're getting them with their guard down.
Yeah. Because
they are just people just like you and me. And if I can sell that more to my clients, hey, it's worth the investment to do this, this, and this instead, because people will let their guard down and you're going to be able to get them to do more with you, then I think we're making a big difference.
That, and you raise the energy level of the entire
think Tony
attendees.
Robbins.
Another great example of that high energy guy. I attended UWM hosted.
I was there with you, but I didn't see you.
I didn't see you there. Oh, so 6,000 people in the room, right? And what I was blown away by, and this is the first time I've seen him. Now, obviously, I follow his work. I admire the way he presents himself. He's at about a 10. This is like the intro level person, and I'm, floating in my way in the middle. Though?
Honestly, there's no difference between you and Tony Robbins.
Oh, I appreciate that.
There's no difference. You know what I mean? He just put in the time and did the grind. And you have exactly the same skills and talents. You just got to put in the time, and it's gonna happen just the same. You know why? Because you have a desire and you have a heart and a passion for it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and similarly, I see the same passion in your work. The other thing that blew me away is he spoke. I think he took the stage at 2:30. He didn't leave till 5:45. No water, no bathroom breaks. I have never seen in my entire life. I go 15 minutes and I gotta take a little break or something. But I was blown away by
It's all the adrenaline.
It's all adrenaline.
Yeah.
It's all high energy.
Yeah.
But most importantly, it's experiential. And I left that presentation or that meeting, and I was like,
It is.
that was a real good use of my time, and I'm happy I was invited to attend. And seeing what those type of live events can do to help transform people, right? And some people are, it's the rah stuff. I get it. Some people it hits, and some people are just there to go through the motions. But I think what you offer to people is the experience. What you offer to people is high energy. I think that's priceless. And I think that's why people continue to come back to use you and to use your services for what you do. So,
and by the way, I don't know if I ever told you this, but we actually worked with Tony Robbins' production company a couple times in events in Chicago a while back. It was probably 10 years ago now. He doesn't do as many events. I think he does one event.
I think they're all virtual now.
Yeah, they're all virtual. He does one live event. But when he used to do more regional ones, we did a couple of them with his production company. And what this guy does is crazy. Like I'm talking about, I'm not going to tell you dollar amounts, but I remember we were setting up the AV, the lighting and stuff, rigging all the truss.
$1 million budget.
Oh yeah, big budget, and all warranted too, because this is what it is. This is what gets people going. But this guy, I'm speaking to your bathroom breaks and water, had like 2 semi flatbed trailers alongside of the building with these huge units. I mean, they were like massive. And they ran in this tubing, probably like 3-foot tubing coming inside the building, all attached to our stage with these vents. And he spent a ton of money on their AC units.
AC, yeah,
so he could hit a button and AC just blows him.
Yeah.
Like
I 100% understand that.
And he has to, because his energy level is so high.
You take your energy, take your heat, your temperature.
Yeah.
I mean, you in order for people to deliver at that level, just like you do in business, you got to give every single ounce of energy you got.
You have to be completely drained when you're done.
It's a gift.
So I'm ready. When you come to me and you say, Dave,
I'm ready for that experience.
I need AC. I need AC to blow me on the stage. I got you covered. We know exactly how to do it.
We'll get there. We'll get there someday for sure. For now, I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to share your feedback, your insight, and how you built your business. It's incredible to see from 8th grade to junior year and going all in and getting a loan and getting started. But believing in yourself, I think, is the biggest takeaway I have from you, and then going all in when the time's right. Right? You had to go. You had to go. Sounds like you had to go experience what mortgages was like, to get a job, to work for somebody else, for you to identify what your American dream was.
That's when I realized.
And that's what it took.
That's when I realized I'm actually an entrepreneur. Like, that's what's in me. And the funny thing is, when things don't go well, I always tell my wife or close friends, I'm like, I should just sell everything and get a job. And they literally laugh.
Yeah, I believe that.
Because they know no matter what, I could go get a job. I could work for anybody, really help grow a business. Yeah. But they know what I'm passionate about. And they know I can't do that. I just can't. You
can't shake it out of you. Entrepreneurialism is a real thing. Mm-hmm. Building a practice, building something tangible, and what sounds like, as an observationist as well, the enjoyment that you get from helping other people on your team, the culture that you build. That's a big part of being an entrepreneur, is helping other people achieve what their goals are, and helps you to be in that seat where you need to be.
For sure.
Well, Dave, it's been a pleasure to speak with you today and to learn a little bit more about you and your business. And I hope you enjoyed this listening in on the Power Connector podcast with Derek Dickow. Enjoy this podcast wherever you subscribe and download podcasts. You can learn a little bit more about Dave Johnson and his company, Mercury Sound and Lighting. And it's an incredible story, American ingenuity, entrepreneurialism, and hard work ethic to achieve great success. I wish you all the best, Dave, and I know we'll do this again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. I'm looking forward to growing with you.
Thank you. Likewise. We'll see you soon. Thank you.